If you go to sit cross-legged and you're stiff and tight and your hips just hurt, in this video I'm going to teach you exactly what you could do to fix this. What's up guys, Dr. Nick Bonforte here in this video to describe why this actually happens, why you can't sit cross-legged, and things that you could do to actually fix this. So we have to consider the anatomy when we're actually going about this. So when we go into a cross-legged position, our leg is going to be like this on both sides. Now the leg is going into relative hip external rotation, like this, that's external rotation versus internal rotation. So it's going into external rotation, and then when the knee is falling out to the side of the body, it's going into abduction or abduction. So if we're limited in this motion, if we're lying on the ground, we can't get this knee down, it's because we lack range of motion in particular joints and muscles. In this video, we're going to be focusing on the adductor muscles or the groin muscles. There's other factors that can contribute to limitations here, but we're going to be focusing on the groin, the adductor muscles. Now, just a little bit of anatomy. When we're going into external rotation, that is stretching the back of the hip. So if the hip can't glide backwards, it's going to be restricted. Why? We also have to improve external rotation. And then also we have hip flexor muscles on the pelvis that go to the femur bone, that when they go out, they're also going to be stretched, like the TFL muscle. So if that's tight, it will be restricted as well. So there's other areas you have to focus on, but we're going to be going over groin area because that's a large contributing factor. As the leg goes into abduction, you're stretching all of the adductors or the adductors. They're getting on all stretch. So let's hit it from the inner groin first. So the first exercise is going to be stretching the groin muscles in a modified position. So I'm going to be elevated to demonstrate this, but the idea can apply to higher levels or lower levels. If you lack this range of motion because it can't go down, you likely need to be elevated. So getting on the ground is going to be too advanced. So you want to prop yourself up. The higher you go in a prop up, you'll be out of the range of motion, being able to get your legs lower. So in this case, I just have a box with one riser, and we're going to be performing it like so. So you can cross your legs wherever they feel comfortable. If it's difficult to cross your legs like this, you could also go the bottom of the feet together and perform the same idea, the same concept. But if the concept here is you want to get better at crossing your legs, get in the position of restriction and work into there. So from here, imagine I just can't go any further than this. It's uncomfortable and whatnot. You want to be stretching the groin in this area, in this position. So from here, I'm just going to use my arms straight out in front of me like this, or I can even put my hands on my knees, and I'm just going to gently push down a little bit more. Now from here, if you start to feel a stretch right into this groin area, top of the hip, that's the area that you actually want to feel it. Now the concept with this beginning stretch is we're going to be performing the concept behind pails and rails. It's FRC concepts. This is definitely not my concepts, but it's FRC concepts to be applied right here. So the idea with this FRC process or the pails and rails is to hold a stretch for a period of time, perform isometric contractions and lift-offs in this range of motion so that the body can get adapted for this range. So the concept is going to be a stretch, then a contraction, and then a peel off. So from here, the stretch is just using arms over pressure to push your legs down to feel a stretch. The pails contraction is going to be pushing your legs up into your arms without moving. You're just generating isometric strength into the arms, and you're holding it for a period of time. So you're going to build up to your safest, greatest effort that you could do. So when you push up, you're going to be holding that pails contraction for a period of time and pushing up for a particular intensity. Example, 50% effort, 60% effort. Then the rails contraction is the peel off away from your hands. So imagine the pails contraction is done, the rails contraction is going to be peeling your knees closer to the ground as hard as you can. You're going to hold that and think about driving your knees down for a period of time. After you're done with that, you relax and then you repeat the sequence. So in this case, you're going to be repeating it for 4 cycles if we do a 30-second stretch, a 10-second pails, and 10-second rails. The idea with doing 4 cycles is you want to get enough time under tension, which is 2 minutes, to then actually make an effect in the actual tissue. So here's the whole sequence. So it's going to be a stretch, pails contraction, rails contraction. That's gonna be the first starter here in this stretch. So I get into the position, wherever that may be. You might be higher, you might be lower. So from here, I just go to push down and I hold this position. I'm feeling the stretch and I wanna breathe through it. Nice and in and out, relaxing into the position. Imagine 30 seconds just went down. Now I'm gonna build isometric contraction of a PALS and I'm pushing into my arms. Notice my legs aren't moving, but I'm just building up. I'm gonna hold that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I'm still maintaining that tension, and now the rails contraction is gonna peel away from my arms. Hold, 10, 9, 8. I'm thinking of getting my knees down to the ground. 5, 4, 3, 2. Feeling my glute muscles working, and then relax. Now I'm in a new range of motion, and I'm gonna repeat that entire sequence again. This 4 times on that rep and set dosage will accumulate to that 2-minute time under tension. So that's the idea when we're starting with this initial stretch of PALS and rails, to get the body accustomed to this position. This is a lot different than just hanging out a stretch for 30 seconds and then calling it a day. So we hold it, stretch, PALS, rails, and then repeat. Try to accumulate 2 minutes of time under tension in this stretch. Now, after the PALS and rails contraction, we want to eccentrically load the tissue. So after the PALS and rails, we're opening up that window to then work into. Now we have to put eccentric load through the tissue to get more input to it and create that extendability in that area we're trying. So I'll be using some overweight, which is dumbbells in this case, to apply this. But the concepts are the most important. I don't need necessarily weight. I could use my hand and perform the same thing I'm gonna demonstrate. It's just creating that mind-body connection of what you're actually doing in this stretch. That's gonna be the most beneficial here. So for here, I'm gonna be elevated on the box just to get myself out of the range of motion for demonstration purposes, and likely for you, if you're watching this, like I said in the beginning, you probably lack that range of motion. So trying to get down to the ground wouldn't be the best bet to begin with. So from here, I'm taking weights that are definitely tolerable that I could do. And then I'm gonna be on the insides of my knee. Now from here, I'm gonna let the weights when dropping my knees down towards the ground. But as I do that, I'm thinking of using my glute muscles to pull myself into the stretch. At the same time, I'm using my inner groin muscles to control that range of motion. So I'm feeling the weight pull myself down, but I'm controlling it by using my inner groin muscles, and then I'm using my glute muscles to peel down. So in one part of this, I'm using my glute muscles to drive down, but then I'm also using my inner groin muscles to control the motion of the weights pulling me down. So from here, again, I go down and then I come back up. Down, and I'm controlling this weight in a controlled fashion. You don't want to just dump it down and come back. Dump it down. You want to make sure you're controlling this in a manner that you feel the inner groin working. Now the weight is going to be very dependent on what you can actually do and tolerate. The idea is not to load this up with 60 pounds and just force yourself into the position and push through it and hurt. No, you want to get the amount of weight that feels like it's challenging and working throughout this. Now, range of motion is also going to be important to this. I used to struggle massively with this range of motion. It took me a long time to get my knees anywhere close to what you see right now. But the idea is you want to work into your available range. As an example, my left side, my knee barely would go like this, go down. So with the weights, you're not gonna force it all the way down like this. So you might just have to work into this range of motion. That's why it's the concepts to apply here. So if you could only go down here and then come back up comfortably, that's where you start and you have a baseline measure to then progress to. You might feel only comfortable here, like it's stiff, and then come back. It's stiff, and then come back. And then over time, you'll get deeper and deeper, allowing you to go further and further down. You want to play within the ranges of motion that you have, but it's the concepts. With this rep range for eccentrics, I like to get anywhere from 3 sets to 15 reps to get more input throughout this to that particular region you're trying to stretch. Now, the last concept in this 3-step sequence is the peel-offs. This is working into the range of motion and activating into that new range of motion that we just acquired from doing pails and rails, the eccentrics. Now that window is open, we worked into that range of motion. Now we have to activate more into that range of motion to teach the body how to control this. So in this concept, we're going off of the cross-legged position, but the same concept can be applied to just almost like a butterfly position, bottom of the foot together, and we can apply the same concepts. I'll just be demoing in this cross-legged position. So now, in this case, we did the pails and rails, we did the eccentrics, so we're most likely further down than when we originally started. So say you're up like this and it hurts, you might now be here, which is great. If you're here, you might now be here. So you want to work into those ranges of motion. So the concept is you push down till you feel like you can't really go any further. Then from here, it's the mind-body connection to peel as far away from your hands as possible. Now this is the key part. If I'm up like this and I'm peeling off like this, I own all of that range of motion. I'm not doing anything, I own it. I want to work into my end range. So if I'm here and I'm peeling off and it's an inch or so, or barely an inch, that's my end range. I'm now working at my end range. So we're going to be holding the lift off for 5 seconds and doing multiple reps. So I'm here like this, I push down. This is kind of like where I would say, I got it. Now from here, when I peel off, right there, it's like an inch or so, and I'm gonna hold it. I'm thinking about using my glute muscles. My glute muscles are actually cramping right now. I hold it, 5, 4, 3, 2, relax. That's 1 rep. And I felt my glute muscles working and cramping because I'm using my glute muscles to drive my knee down to the ground. And then I'm gonna be repeating. Peel off, hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back. Peel off, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's the idea. We're working now into that end range position with the mindfulness of not to peel off into ranges of motion you own, but work at your end ranges of motion and teach the body how to control that end range of motion. That is what increases long-term flexibility. I hope this video gave you insight and more of an understanding of how to actually improve your mobility in a cross-legged position. In this video, we focused on that one position, taking the concepts and keeping it simple and progressing off basics. There is hundreds of variations you could do, different exercises, but it's the concepts of applying these 3 main things of stretching the area from a pails and rails contraction standpoint, eccentrically loading it, and then working into that new range of motion. When you apply these concepts to all different ranges of the body, your body can do a lot of good and feel a lot better, but it's the consistency that is the main thing with all of this. So in this video, we just focused again on that one position, but it's ultimately improving the cross-legged position. You stay consistent to that, you'll be surprised at your results. If you did find value in this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you support my channel by subscribing down below, like this video, leave any comments down below in the comment section, and really do hope you learned and enjoyed this video and gave you some value. Until next time, this is Dr. Nick.